Today, we are going to talk about budgeting and how budgeting can help you gain financial stability or financial freedom. There are so many issues that come up when you're unable to budget your finance. I mean, sometimes you could be earning so much, and at the end of the month, or before the end of the month, or even first or second week of the month, you really don't have an idea of what you used your salary or your paycheck or your income, whatever way you are generating income, you have no idea how you spent it. So to gain financial freedom, I call this rule that I'm going to be sharing with you today the smart beginners budgeting rule. Right? I'm going to share with you 3 strategies or 3 tips on how you can gain financial stability or freedom by planning, or how to plan your budget, right? So there are so many ways to this, but stay with me, stick with me to the last one. The last one is the wildest one of them all. It's one that a lot of beginners make mistakes with, right? So if you're a beginner and you have no idea how your finances are going, I'm passionate about personal finance and I'm here to guide you in that aspect, right? So the first rule that you can use to plan your budget or your finance is called the 50-30-20% rule. Now, the way this works basically is by having what they call a budgeting template. I use a spreadsheet, also known as an Excel sheet, but there are budgeting apps that you can use, okay? I'll put recommendation of some of the budgeting apps in the comment section so that you can have a look, or description so you can have a look, right? So the first thing is to have a budgeting template. The budgeting template using the spreadsheet is what you can use to break down how you are going to take care of your finance for a period of time. 50-30-20%, right? Remember, I'm talking about smart budgeting rules for beginners, okay? So the 50% is for really important expenses that you cannot live without. I mean, those bills that need to be paid that you cannot afford to ignore. 30% is for discretionary expenses. Discretionary, so you have to use your discretion, while 20% is used for your savings and for debt, to use to pay your debt, right? So remember, 50-30-20, and you have to have a spreadsheet or a budgeting app. Now, what this does for you is you itemize your daily expenses, your weekly expenses, and your monthly expenses, and you share them into different segments on the spreadsheet, right? So when you share them into different segments, you're sharing them to fit into the 50-30-20%, meaning 50 means the recurring expenses you cannot live without every month, then 30 for the discretionary, like maybe people are asking you to support them in some way or the other, and 20 for your savings and debt repayment. Very important to pay debt. You can't be financially free if you have too much debt on you. However, you don't need to pay all the debt at once. You pay gradually, right? So we are moving on to the second rule, okay? So the second point here for smart financial budgeting for beginners is being able to prioritize your expenses. Yes, you heard me. Prioritize your expenses, meaning that expenses need to be arranged according to priorities. Now, what are the most important priorities you need to note, right? We are talking about effective budgeting, and for your budgeting to be effective, you need to be able to take care of your housing, which is your rent, your food, and your utilities. These 3 are very important in setting your priorities. Those are the first things, non-negotiable, to be able to help you to effectively plan your budget, okay? And then after that, you can now move on to what they call discretionary expenses, which is entertainment and your hobbies. I mean, that's left to you. And I'm not saying you can't go for entertainment or hobbies, but you must attend to first things first, which is your housing, your feeding, and your utilities. I'm sure you won't want to live under the bridge or something, and then I don't know of anyone who can survive without food. So those are the important things, right? Now, even in prioritizing expenses, there are categories of expenses. For instance, instead of eating out all the time, you can cut back by cooking food at home, cooking meals at home. Eating out can be pretty expensive and take a toll on your budget over a long period of time. Now, I'm not saying you can't enjoy yourself once in a while, or take yourself out to celebrate certain milestones like a birthday or something like that. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it shouldn't be too regular. It shouldn't become a routine or something normal in your life. If you want to be able to smartly handle your budget effectively as a beginner, and even if you're not a beginner, one of the things you need to know is to set your priorities right. Like I said, priority expenses, categorize the expenses and cut back on some of the expenses. Look for cheaper alternatives. So we're moving on to the final and the most important one. Stick with me. So now let's talk about saving money on everyday items. When I mean saving money on everyday items, what I mean is, for instance, meal planning. You can plan your meals, your groceries, where you get your groceries, find where you can get them cheaper. Now, I'm not saying rotten groceries. I'm saying get them for a cheaper price, same quality, same value. Another example is transportation. So instead of driving all the time, driving your car all the time, you can sometimes use public transportation. You know, entertainment, find free entertainment, or you know, things that you can do that can give you pleasure, practically free. I mean, for entertainment, you can even join live streaming events. There are even apps that can tell you how you can get entertainment at discounted rates or even free. Yes, you definitely can get those kind of services. Now, financial budgeting, smart budgeting is not about depriving yourself. No, that's not what it's about. It's about aligning your finance for financial stability, for financial freedom, and aligning your finance for your goals. Say you have a project, you want to buy a house, you've got some courses to pay for, you've got a degree you want to pay for. There's some sort of financial, some big project. I mean, big is relative, but you know, something that you need to get done with money. And it's not all about going to get loans. Sometimes if you cut back on some expenses, like I mentioned in the other tips, you know, prioritizing your expenses, categorizing your expenses, saving on little things, at the end of the day, like they say, little drops makes a mighty ocean. It's not about reducing your standard of living, it's by finding a way to cut back on less relevant things to achieve your financial goal, right? So I remain Dr. Ish, your personal finance coach, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. And if you have any questions or any aspect of personal finance you'd like me to speak to you about or share on this channel, let me know. Thank you.